Good morning, everybody. You're tuned to Computers 2K now on the Nissan Communications Network. I'm Amnon, your host for the next couple of hours. And why don't I see you guys where I'm supposed to see you? Wait a second.
We moved.
See, we're talking and we don't pay attention to this thing. Oh, shoosh. Display 2. There it goes. Windows Update. Sheesh.
It's just there to keep you on your toes.
So our number, and I'm here along with Spence.
Good morning.
And Gal is here.
Good morning. Good morning.
Our number is 919-518-9773. Computers 2K Voice on Skype. And today's show is made possible by vMix Software, DudeInIT.com, and is sponsored by Tom Sinclair of Live Streaming Gear. This is the first show since the Windows updates, and I had more than my share of problems with that thing.
Now,
So,
which update are you talking about?
I
The
don't-
security
one-
roll-up or the
I don't-
last feature update?
the one that came out last week, whatever it is.
Yeah, it was
I
a
mean,
security roll-up.
I let it do automatic. I don't really look at it. I mean, okay, yeah, need to do it.
Well, then you got the annoyance number 25 update. They have them. They keep them. They got guys that actually write these annoyance updates so they can have fun with everybody.
But yeah, I had quite a few problems this morning, and hopefully,
It caused something to happen to my machine that actually had me fix something that's been annoying me forever. That's now working.
yeah,
Remember how I said that whenever I opened up my camera management software, that I always had to reset it every time,
yes,
right? It would go back, the white balance would be off,
Right.
everything would be off. Well, it turns out that with the new update, I kept getting a DLL error
oh,
from the Logitech manager. So I said, well, there's got to be, and the last time I looked, there was no actual update or no actual version of that software for Windows 10. And that was as little as a year ago.
mm-hmm.
So I went and I said, oh my God, I got to go look and see if there's something out there. Sure enough, there is an actual Windows 10 version. So I loaded it. It's not as comprehensive as the old one. It doesn't have as many adjustments built in, but I can do them within XSplit. But I don't get that error anymore. I turn it on and it remembers the settings. So I can save it and it saves it.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it was the update that forced me to go fix it and look for the DLL error.
Hopefully, it will remain that way.
I hope so. So far, I mean, I had it running the other day, fixing the DLL. I opened up XSplit to make sure I could still get to the menu okay, and it looks fine. And then when I opened it this morning, I had a minor adjustment, but that was just because the other day when I was using it, I didn't have the lighting on. So I didn't have a good example. So, yeah, works.
All right. And Gal, you have some problems. I don't know if you want to talk about it. It's probably too complicated.
I don't think it'll bore everyone. I'm trying to deal with some Linux Docker based setup, and whatever I'm doing, I'm messing up. But that's probably me. I'll figure it out eventually, and when if it'll be interesting at that point, then I'll share.
Then
it.
we'll talk about it. All right. All right, that's fine. Well, all this week I was battling something that has nothing to do with computers. So I didn't have much time to read and research. I had to replace the well pump.
So how you 7 days without a shower? Is that right?
Well, it stopped.
So
It's actually stopped working efficiently.
So what's the smell like around
Wednesday.
the house? What's the
No, I mean we had water, but it was like coming out. Let's put it this way: those of you that have wells, the pump's supposed to pump about 10 to 12 gallons a minute.
which is more than enough for most home.
Oh
plumbing
Jesus,
systems.
this
Yeah.
is a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
it was doing a gallon and a half a minute, and we figured the pump was just going and going and going, never stopped. I poured chlorine in it and everything, and to clean it up, and it got a little bit better, but then it got even worse. And we figured that it was clogged up, and the water was not clean. So of course I had to shut the water to the house. And normally you just let it run and flush it out, but it got to the what?
Did you think to check that it had gotten the Windows update?
Yeah, I know that's the thing. It had there's no wireless. So it can't get down there. But finally, Greg came yesterday and day before yesterday, Friday, and we pulled it out, and I couldn't believe it. I mean, the pump has a screen that so objects will not go in, and it was completely caked. I mean, we have iron, and I should pour chlorine in it once every 6 months, and I just don't do it. And I had to break it with a screwdriver and a hammer.
Wow.
And
did it clean up and the screen is intact?
The screen is intact, but I changed the pump. I mean, you don't put something like this back in. I mean, I'll probably put it in the bathtub with iron out and leave it there a few
as a backup
hours. And I just want to see, well, as a backup, I mean, I don't know that I will put that back in there because the impellers, that's another problem I have with modern stuff. The first pump we changed in the house, which is about 35 years ago, the impellers were metal. Everything since has been plastic impellers, or they're all kind of resins and stuff like that. I actually said, okay, now I'm tired of this. We already, in 30 some years, we changed the pump three or four times, and that shouldn't happen. So I went looking, and they don't make them. They make them for wells that go down 1,000 feet. Ours goes down about 150, and it's 8 gallons per minute recovery that I was told. And they don't make anything like this, so you need a 3/4 horse, half horse to 3/4 horse to be on the safe side. I don't understand why. I really don't. But anyway, put the new pump in, pour chlorine in there to shock it, and instead of flushing it through the garden hose, we lift the pump up a little bit and hooked a 1-inch pipe to it and ran it until it ran dry, and waited about 2-3 minutes and ran it again until it ran dry, and everything is okay now. Knock on wood, everything is fine, and the pressure is unbelievable.
So did you discuss with him about your idea of moving the pump to the surface?
Yeah, you can.
You can.
I mean, you can, but
but you'd have to reline. You'd have to put in drop a pipe down, and
you
all
have
that,
to,
and you
and you have to drop a pipe that will not collapse over that, and then And we had to change the pipe that goes down also, because when we took the pump out and laid it on the lawn, the pipe, which is an inch, had so much buildup in it that only about third of an inch opening.
Oh, that's
It
probably the biggest part of your problem there. Not the
no,
screen.
no. That's over time, and we didn't have a problem until last Saturday.
Do they
That
make-
it will still bring up water with the right pressure and cycle and everything with that little bitty hole, but
Do they make, what's the longest Q-tip they make? Do they have a 170-foot Q-tip?
yeah, right. Anyway, that's what I was doing all week, and boy, oh boy, so everything is fine. Anyway, back to computers. What happened? If I'm normally on the machine here, on the production machine, I use it with one provider, and the other machine where you get all the other channel 1, channel 2, channel 3 goes through the other machine, which is the other provider. Channel 4 is Facebook, which I did not check yet, but it's working. Since we changed, I'm using the production machine with Google Fiber, and the others with the other machine with AT&T. Well, this morning it did not want to work. It told me it can't get to this page and can't get to that page. When I went to the network settings, it says you have internet, but I couldn't go. I shouldn't say I couldn't go anywhere. I think it went to Google, and it went to Facebook, but it just didn't want to function. So I'm on AT&T on both machines. So if AT&T goes down, none of the channels would work. Which the other way, either channel 4 will work. If one of them goes down, either channel 4 will work or 1, 2, 3 will work. So if you see that we stop, that means that AT&T went down, and give it a few minutes. I'll probably switch and see.
So to all the hackers listening to us,
Yeah.
please don't take AT&T now.
No.
Are they on the list? Are they going through the list? They have their whiteboard in their command central where they got all the providers listed and they check them off as they whack them.
No. So what happened this week that stands up in your
Windows update, Windows spooler.
So what was worse, the Windows update or the hurricane?
Oh yeah, the hurricane
Oh, come
turned
on.
out to be. I mean, we had about 3 inches of rain here, and it was more in North Raleigh.
we did too, but it was no
Yeah.
hurricane. It was a
No, it was
depression.
no- we
Let's
didn't
call
get
it
the-
what it is. It's a depression.
We didn't get the wind that we expected, and the good news was that the ground wasn't already saturated. So
Yeah.
it pretty much, I don't have that water coming out of my driveway like I usually do when it gets saturated. So, but it rained hard.
How was it on your side of town, Gal?
Just a lot of rain, yeah. Thankfully, I mean, even winds weren't too hard. So
We didn't have hardly any wind. I mean, I was looking for movement in the trees, and there was. It was really, it was what did I say, nothing burger. But then Kathy
Yeah.
was telling me that the subways in New York flooded.
Mm.
That's amazing.
That's because they haven't cleaned the drains out in about 30 years.
So
No,
let's
the last time they were flooded was Sandy.
That was
Yeah,
major
but that
flooding,
was
I
too.
was
bad.
there. I remember it.
That was
That
really
was-
bad.
Some of them were out for weeks.
And the interesting thing, I was that week I was in New York. It was actually my flight was like 3 days after Sandy, something like that. My flight back to Israel, and those 3 days, subways were completely closed. And the most interesting thing about New York is that half of the city is underground; you'd never see it. But when the subway was closed, everybody were up. Everything was packed. I mean, New York is packed already, right?
Mm-hmm.
Manhattan, but this was like ridiculously packed. It was the very very strange thing to see. I had to leave for the airport like an additional hour because of traffic and stuff. An additional hour earlier to get on time. It was really really strange.
I was working in the city during several transit strikes that made things very, very difficult. Interesting.
Yeah.
Catching a bus out in Jamaica normally I'd take the Long Island Railroad all the way into Penn Station and take the subway south. But I had to pick up a commuter bus where the line was, I don't know, a mile long, waiting to get on the bus and then getting into the city. So needless to say, everything was so late.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, so let's talk about the Windows update. Go ahead, Spence. You wanted to?
Oh yeah. So they apparently this was uncovered more than a week ago, week and a half, 2 weeks ago, but finally got attention. They got the attention of Microsoft, who investigated, and then they only just published the fixes on the 6th, and it includes all the way back to Windows 7, Windows 10, Windows 8, Windows 7, Windows Server. So it had to be quite a vulnerability. Now, Amnon, you looked more into what the actual implications were on an individual. I don't think it's going to affect people at home much.
No, it doesn't. I mean, there are probably a lot of people.
Unless you do a remote print.
It's if you allow remote printing, or if you do remote printing from outside, it affects you big time. But if you're connected wirelessly to your router to print, no. And if you're USB connected, no, you're not going to see anything. So most people at home will not see it unless they're doing something very fancy. Gal probably does. Gal, do you? Do you do anything fancy about printing from outside or no?
I have enabled remote printing on the printer itself,
Mm-hmm.
right? But that has nothing to do with Windows 10.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah, so
That's
no.
the printer.
Right. If it's the printer, or if you're going, if you're using Linux to do it, then there's no effect there. It was a Windows. If your printer is hooked to a computer and the computer is making the connection to the printer, just like we used to do.
I would think if the computer shares a remote printer somehow, but I haven't read the details.
Are there any circumstances where by default PCs would be enabled for remote printing?
No.
So you have to consciously turn it on and configure it. Yeah.
Yes.
And if you were working from home in a VPN, you'd be part of that domain anyway, so it wouldn't be remote printing. I can't think of a circumstance. Now, I had access when I would run a VPN. I had access to work printers, but I would almost never send a print job to the office while I was at home, unless I was going in and wanted to print something big.
Well, the reason you would want remote printing isn't for that. I mean, that's nice, but you'd want like your mobile phone which is not necessarily hooked up to the Wi-Fi. You want to be able to send to any printer.
Oh, I
around
see what you
you,
mean. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. That's when remote printing starts to make sense. It's connected via the outside. So
And that begs the question, like, who's actually monitoring that and would know to exploit you? Scan. I know there's a lot of scanning that goes on a continuous basis.
They were actually saying that the outfit that found out about it, they say by mistake, they actually published how it doing it. So they gave directions to people who want to exploit it, how to exploit that vulnerability. And that was they said it was a mistake. Yeah.
That's a pretty interesting conscious mistake.
Yeah. Yeah. Wiggs is saying that his player crashed over there. I made another change here, and the main player when you go to the site is actually Twitch now. It was YouTube, and I'm sitting here actually monitoring on the other machine, and I see buffering almost every minute. It buffers a little bit. I wonder if anybody else is seeing it, doing it, or is it my
I'm not
network?
running it, but I can try and see what happens.
But he says that his player crashed over there and he had to restart the player.
Click here to reload player. Yep, network error. Please try again.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to switch it back. I mean, if you click on channel 1, that's YouTube, and that should not give you any trouble.
That's working.
But I'm
Channel 1 is working.
I'm going to change it.
Channel 2 is working.
Channel 2 is the main one, the one that goes automatically, and that's the one that just crashed on you.
Yeah. Channel 3 has got your logo, and that's it.
Well, if you click the skip,
watch on.
You need to skip ad. Yeah, the VIMM.
Yeah, that's working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, you guys, you have something to talk about, or you want me to give you?
I can talk about something.
All right, go ahead.
I was in the process of repurposing an older Dell laptop that I got from a customer who was through with it. He said it had issues. Turned out it was a bad memory module, which I have ordered. I'm running it on half the memory. But I was looking for remember I asked you about Windows 10. I decided not to do Windows 10. I did Solus Linux. It's a GNOME distribution. They have like 4 or 5 different look and feels that they offer. And I just saw one that looked just like Mac. So I thought I'd give it a try. So I loaded it. I like it. I'm waiting for the memory now. And but it's an older Core 2 Duo Dell, but it was a business laptop. So it had it had every wireless connection possibility. It has like 6 antennas in this thing. Got the Wi-Fi card. It's got a broadband card. It's got another antenna cable, which I don't even know where it goes, to be honest. But very high quality backlit keyboard, very high resolution display. Battery doesn't work either. The battery's shot, but nice machine. So I'm going to use that for playing around. See how I like it. But that one, I had trouble. It loaded fine. I loaded it from a DVD. And as soon as I start the machine up, I get all these errors. Oh, that's weird. So I was diagnosing it. I took one stick out and it worked fine after that. But it's funny how it installed it with no problem with the bad memory. It wasn't until it actually loaded the OS that when you ran the live disk, it worked fine. But as soon as I loaded it onto the solid state drive, it would just sit there and get all kinds of errors.
Interesting.
But
okay, if anybody has a problem with the, I mean, if you just reload, it'll load YouTube now. and that's working okay there. Anyway, yes, Spence, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I think Gal was saying something.
I was asking if you think the issues are because of the OS.
No, I think it was memory. It
Mm.
just didn't get to that failed memory location until the OS loaded from the hard drive. For some reason, the live CD worked. It was probably because it loaded everything from the DVD. And then when it tried to load, it probably wrote crap to the hard drive because of the memory module. And then when I took out the memory stick, it worked. So
Hmm.
it was, it had 4 gig in it. I took
So-
out half of it.
Did you try to reset it? I mean, is it the first one that you took out, or you actually tried both?
I took out one first and it failed.
Okay.
I took out the second one and it worked. So I know which one it is. I identified it. I just ordered.
And did you
another-
try to put the one that failed back in? Maybe it just needed reseating.
Yeah, if I put it back in, it failed.
Okay.
Yeah, so I
Yeah,
know it's
so
bad.
it's different. Yeah.
Yeah,
Isn't
it wasn't reseating. I tried it in both slots.
Yeah.
So, and I was kind of disappointed. Usually I have this particular vintage of memory. I usually have a lot laying around, and I didn't have it. So I ordered another 2 gig set to get 4. To get 8 on this machine in this, what is this, PC2 3200? 32 PC2 6400.
Wow.
It's $125 for 8
Yeah,
gig.
because it's old.
Yeah, and but the 4 gig stuff was 17 for 2. So
Oh.
I'll deal with it. It runs okay on 2, so it'll run really good on 4.
Talking about trying to repurpose and or to do something that's not straightforward. I was asked by one of my customer if we're running, I mean, Delta Force Linux servers. So is it no exchange? They wanted to sync they're using Outlook in the office to connect and get it, the email from us. They said that some of the users are asking if they want to sync the Outlook calendar between users. And
It's possible. I've done it. It works.
But what server were you connected? Do you know? See, you have to be connected to Exchange, as far as I know.
I don't know. I
you
did
see,
it with Exchange.
Yeah.
And this was a team calendar that we created.
Yeah. So
and
it's
synced up.
it was
A
probably
while
running.
ago, though.
They were probably running an Exchange server in the office, and that's how he got it. So I told him, I said, no, we cannot do it. But then I asked Ron, and he also said not that he knows of, but there are other solutions. The thing is, these people want to do their Outlook calendar. I said, nope, you're going to have to run an Exchange server or get an Exchange.
There
service.
are
How are they-
alternatives.
What?
There are alternatives, like not too complex solutions and that are free.
To use Outlook and
Yes,
sync it.
completely replace an Exchange server.
Really? To work
Yes,
on Linux?
Yes, or a VM, but yeah. There is something called Mail Cow, if I remember correctly.
All right, let's talk about that
Mail
later, because
Cow
I don't know that
and
it's
Mail in a Box. I think that's also Mail in a
interesting.
Box. Mail in a Box. I remember correctly. So Mail Cow and Mail in a Box, they are a complete suite of services all running on Linux, on a Linux machine,
Mhm.
and you can set them up as a mail forwarding, or you can set them up as a complete, public mail server with all the DNS work. They provide complete active sync and exchange replacement,
Okay.
as well as webmail and all that stuff. So it's not, it won't look like Outlook.com, like an Exchange OWA, the website, but you can hook up Outlook, the software,
Mhm.
to it, and it'll work completely. And you will have a webmail front end, which is pretty good. So yeah,
So
there are solutions.
the user have to hook something also. I mean, in between them and the server, or their
No, once the
Outlook.
server is up, they
That's it.
just connect with
Okay.
as if they are connecting to Exchange.
Okay. Well, I'll tell the guys and see.
I mean, it won't be necessarily easier to install than Exchange, but it is free. And there are probably
Well,
hosted solutions as well.
I am not going to install a Windows server, on our network. I don't want to have to maintain an Exchange server and with all the problems that it comes with.
Can't they get an ID
Well-
on Outlook.com and share that calendar and link it to their own calendars?
But then it seems like that's a
Security violation?
no, it's something that they're going to have to pay for it.
Of course.
Yeah, and it's going to cost them
Well-
more than what I charge.
There is another solution which has nothing to do with Outlook. It will work with an Outlook calendar, and that's Nextcloud, because Nextcloud has complete WebDAV calendars integration. So, and Nextcloud is completely open source, and it's a lot easier to install than something like Mail in a Box or MailCow.
And then their Outlook will connect to it.
Yeah, you can add that calendar there.
Okay.
Now, another thing they can do is just share a Google Calendar
That's what Ron was saying.
through Outlook.
Yeah.
And make that calendar private and use the URLs, and it'll work, right? There's a lot of solutions. It's not like just
Okay.
Exchange.
Okay, so there are other solutions. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good to know. Why don't I hear this ringing?
It's a funny story.
Good
here.
morning.
Sorry.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Oh, hey. Why didn't I hear? Okay, never mind now.
So I'm listening to this story about the Outlook thing.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but can't they just use a Google Calendar and add it to their Outlook? You
That's
can
what
add external calendars to Outlook, right?
That's what we said.
that's what
No.
Gal was talking about. Yeah.
You were probably
Yeah,
busy
so-
dialing.
Yeah, yeah. I heard you talk about Nextcloud, and I was thinking, well, man, you can add any number, Google offers free calendars. Outlook.com, which is free, offers free calendars.
Hmm.
Yep.
But never mind, disregard.
Where are you? Driving?
Mooresville, North Carolina.
Oh, so you're still there.
Yes.
Okay. All right. How did it go?
Yeah. Good convention. Very good convention.
Very nice. Very nice.
All right, I'll keep listening. I'll talk to you
All
guys
right.
later.
All right.
Bye.
Take care, Nick. Oh, now I hear this. Okay. So anyway, I'll talk. I
There
may
are
talk
options.
to you next week about this. Let's see what else happened. Yeah, Windows has a lot of bugs, right?
No, they're all
So-
features.
Microsoft,
It's undocumented features.
listen to this. Microsoft is to give its non-executive staff. Oh, that's got nothing to do with that. That's a different story. A non-executive staff a $1,500 bonus for their work during the pandemic. The company said it was a symbol of appreciation during a uniquely challenging year. We're proud to recognize our employees with a one-time monetary gift. What do you know? It's they said that they made a bunch of it went up 38% during 2020. I mean their profit. So I guess they can do it and there's no problem. But the other story that I was talking about, there it is. And Microsoft said it awarded more than 13.6 million as monetary rewards to security researchers through its public bug bounty programs over the past 12 months. Say the funds were awarded for 1,261 bugs reported by 341 security researchers across 17 bug bounty platforms between July 1st, 2020 and June 30th, 2021. The highest award bounty was 200,000 for vulnerability reported in Hyper-V, Microsoft OS virtualization technology. The average bounty was more than $10,000 per valid bug report across all programs. Now, most bug reports came from researchers residing in China, the US, and Israel. That's interesting. I mean, the people that
China, US, and Israel.
Yeah.
That's a very interesting scale. It's like comparing the moon, Earth, and Jupiter, and putting them together. It's like this little tiny dot over here, this small blob over here,
Yeah.
and then this huge ball.
Well, if you set them all at the right distance, they all look the same.
Well,
yeah, just
How
a
many
few light years
AUs?
apart.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that people in these countries, I mean, it's you have to have people sitting and researching that and trying this and trying that and doing all kind of things in order to come up with a bug report. Because you can't just say, oh, this crashed the machine. Okay, let's report it. No, you have to try it again and again and see if you can recreate it. And things like this take time. So it's not like somebody is working in an office, just regular job that can do that, although I'm sure they could.
Depends on how bored you are at work.
Yeah, true. Here's something that it's nice to see that Microsoft, I'm not Microsoft, that cities are doing. Infrastructure cyber attacks are quickly becoming a significant problem in the U.S., and New York City is opening a facility that could help fend off those potentially dangerous hacks. The Wall Street Journal reports that New York City has launched a long in the making Cyber Critical Services and Infrastructure, CCSI, Operations Center in Manhattan to defend against major cyber attacks. The initiative's members are a mix of public and private sector organizations that include Amazon, the Federal Reserve Bank, IBM, the New York Police Department, and multiple healthcare providers. If a cyber attack hits, they'll ideally cooperate close to both overcome the attack and muster a city response if the digital offensive hobbles New York City's infrastructure. Politicians first floated the idea in 2017, but CCSI has been a strictly virtual initiative until now. The fact that they're doing something is nice, but you know what it also reminds me of? Before 9/11. I mean, after 9/11, they said that before 9/11 there were a lot of information, but it was not shared between agencies. And they created a situation where they can share it between agencies. Here it's the same thing. It's they're not doing anything to proactively eliminate an attack because you can't do that. You don't know where it's coming from. But the minute it happens, to let everybody knows that this and that is happening is pretty good. And it's any way you look at it, it is a positive thing. And as far as those problems, what was it? The thing with was it WD? No, it wasn't WD. It was. I guess I'll find it later. That the company notifying the users to not use something took the usage from like thousands of users down to 240 by the end of the day, and they said that this was really, really um, effective because it shows. I mean, yeah, a company can just let their customers know, and as long as the customers are acting on it, shut it down, make sure nothing is happening, and then a patch will be available. It's last week, in between, starting probably last Sunday afternoon. I get notices when any WordPress site is blocking IPs because of people trying to break in. The bad thing about it is that it's only blocking that IP from coming back to that particular website. So what I do normally is I capture the IP address and I enter it into a blacklist to the firewall to say, hey, don't even let them come into the server. Boy, oh boy, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. I'll bet you probably over 1,500 IPs. Most of them are China, Singapore, Russia. It's like a botnet that's attacking. And Jason is not here yet. No. Yeah, I asked Jason and Ron to write something that will take those IP addresses when it sees them and add them right away into a blacklist to block them on all the servers. But I mean, as little as Delta Forces, they're putting resources to attack. Thank God, nothing happened so far. But it's something that you always need to be aware of if you have a website. Back it up, because you can lose a lot. I mean, in a split second, you can lose a bunch. All right, Vince, you want to do the specials?
Sure. But I wanted to,
Yeah.
before we did that, just to mention how
Sure.
there's an interesting article. It's under satire, but some of the stuff you just can't make up. It says the intelligence community has a yearly report that they do on diversity in the workforce. And they published their latest diversity workforce hiring and retention of minorities, women, and persons with disabilities in the United States intelligence community. So there's a very nice graphic, people standing in the lobby, and can't make this up. They had to Photoshop in, very badly Photoshop in, picture of a blind person and a picture of a person in a wheelchair.
Oh, jeez.
Oh gosh, it's like you think, well, what does this do for your credibility, right?
Yeah.
And you look at this thing. So they took it. It's in the Washington Free Beacon. It's an article, funny, but it takes it a step further by adding even more. Like, okay, let's add some senior citizens, and let's add some height challenge, and let's add some different religious groups and indigenous American. If you want a good chuckle, Washington Free Beacon today, it has under their satire and their columns section. It's pretty funny. All right, but be that as it may, and you look at this, you do a close look at the actual Photoshop, and you go, this doesn't look. You can tell, not even from, you can tell pretty much from a distance that it isn't right. First, if you were just zooming past it on a web page, yeah, it wouldn't be a big deal. But the shadows are wrong, the color, the lighting is wrong. You could just, wait a minute, that isn't right. Pretty funny. All right. So specials today.
Specials
All right.
today.
Specials today. This is actually July 11th, 2021. 7-Eleven. We're open from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. So, all right. So starting out, I had been tossing around these funny billboards sites, and I found some good ones. It said, I went to the Air and Space Museum, but there was nothing there. What started the whole thing is my daughter sent me one that said septic tanks pumped, swimming pools filled, not the same truck. Oh, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
On the back of this tractor trailer, there's a sign that says, this vehicle makes wide ass turns.
Put something like this on the back of your RV.
Yeah. I don't want to be, that would be good. I should do that. I should put a sign back there. I call my horse Mayo, and sometimes mayonnaise. Oh, be the fun in dysfunctional.
That's my motto in life.
That's it. And the one I like the best is, please cancel my subscription to your issues.
I don't want to hear about your issues.
Yeah. But the Indian Hills Community Center, I think it's in Colorado, has been putting these things up for a long time. There's a page you can go to. There's 50 of these that you can look at, and sequence on their page. Oh my gosh, some of them are just classic, really funny stuff, and not in any way offensive, just funny. So very good. Okay, so starting out with Staples. Staples now, when you get into their tech products, communications products are now called Staples Connect. So, guess it's a new marketing thing.
Right.
But I did stumble across an interesting machine here, and I like the. It's called the Asus Expert Center desktop computer. It is an Intel i5, comes with 8 gig of RAM and a 512 gigabit SSD. It's $599. It's $100 off the regular price. But here's what it comes with, or what it can do. It's pretty amazing.
And
It's
it looks
got
like it's a
8
small footprint.
Yeah, it's it's a compact machine.
Yeah.
It has 8 USB ports on it, 6 USB 3s, 4 USB 2s, and and plus a USB-C. I forgot about that. It has an optional, it comes with a display port, a VGA port, and what was the
HDMI.
third one? And an HDMI port. Optional VGA. It
Mhm.
comes with an optional Amnon parallel port.
And it has the PS2.
Yes, it has the PS2 keyboard and
Yeah.
mouse connectors.
Yeah.
It has an optional serial port, which you don't find anywhere anymore, right? So for a tech, if you need to use a serial port to configure machines, or you work on, I mean, what a machine! This is amazing.
Yeah.
It's got all kinds of memory card slots on it, lots of open bays and all that. We'll take up to 128 gig of memory, and it has a 3.5 and a 2.5 inch SATA slot, so you can put up to a 3 terabyte solid state drive and a 2 terabyte hard disk. So, and it's graded as a military grade machine.
But it doesn't
Ah.
have. It does.
That explains. That
It
explains.
all has all the
build.
ports on it. Yeah. So because
So
you have to
it's
be
like some
backwardly
military
compatible.
Wait.
spec, and the military's probably stopped buying them. And so
It says
somebody's
new.
stuck
I mean,
with stock.
it says
Yeah.
new.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's new.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's new. It's like the factory created them, but nobody
Yeah.
used them ever. And the military contract is probably over.
Yeah.
So
But hey,
they need to get rid
for-
of it.
Well, $599 i5 comes with Windows Pro.
No CD.
Yeah. No, it has a
What's
CD. It has
i5 though?
has a DVD
What-
drive. DVD drive.
It does.
I wonder
does, yeah.
what is the generation of the i5.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh,
Because
optical
if it's
drive.
an
yeah.
older generation, it will explain everything, right?
But I
Still,
was just intrigued by the fact that it had so much I/O
for
capability.
$600, yeah, I'll
That's
go.
not bad for an i5. A really good business class machine, and for a tech support group, really good, because think about the stuff you can. Well, whatever. But good deal. All right.
I'm wondering how many slots it has in it.
Well, it looks
It
like from
doesn't
the
say.
back, it's
Yeah.
got some PCI
That
Express. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4.
where do you
full-size
see that?
PCI slots.
No, that doesn't mean anything. The case doesn't mean anything anymore. It's the motherboard, and they're not showing.
Yeah, well, it would be misdirection.
it's-
and
it's
I didn't
interesting.
get into the full. Let's see if it says here. I just have to-
$600. That's a good. I mean, i5 with all that, absolutely. Anyway,
I'll go with the parallel port. I have that old parallel printer just waiting for me to use it again.
well, it's
right?
optional.
But you know what? It's got a USB-C port on the front, so it can't be that old. USB 3.2 Gen 1 on the front, 6. USB 2.0.
Oh, it is a modern one. The Core i5 is 10,400.
10th generation.
Yeah, DisplayPort
that's-
and HDMI. And it's like the guy said, "Well, what can we fit into this machine?" And the fact that it's got a smaller form factor, it's got the smart
is
card
a-
and
there-
SD readers.
There's a picture of the internal. Like 3 slots.
3 slots. They look like they might not be full high slots.
They are not. That's what makes
Yeah.
it compact.
Yeah, well,
So-
you leave the lid on, off.
That's
So-
all.
Yeah, you could.
Cool's better that way. So,
Anyway.
I have Amnon. If you need it, I got a really nice server case with got like 6 fans in it that I
Hmm.
got from a customer. I pulled the board out, but it's got a lot of got a like 5 3-inch bay, 3.5-inch bays. Just honking machine with 700 watt power supply. But the power supply, it's an older machine. But the power supply, the power cables are connectors into the power supply itself. So you have to buy the adapter
Modular.
cable
Yeah.
if you want to get the SATA connectors or use adapters. But it was a honking
What
machine.
happened to the motherboard?
It's too old.
Oh.
Yeah, it was just an Athlon. It was nothing special. So, all right, we've got a Lenovo Chromebook. I was amazed. The prices of Chromebooks are just up there. you can get really a reasonably priced one, but it's it's not a hard disk. It's not even a flash drive. It's an EEMC memory chip with the storage on it, and it's got may not even be an Intel or Ryzen processor, but this was a fairly good machine. But a Chromebook, $349, and that's
Yeah.
$130 off. Lenovo C340, so that's based on one of their typical platforms. 4 gig of memory Chromebook for $349, but it's $130 off. They've got an Asus iCare 27-inch LED monitor for $149, which is $20 off. iCare, does that mean it's easy to put makeup on or something?
Usually means blue light filtering.
Yeah, filtering. Pretty good price on Apple iPad 10.2, 32 gig, $299. Usually sells, regular price is always $329. I got mine with a super deal. It was $250 at B&H Photo a while ago. I'm very happy with it. I've had it now about a year and a half. But if you are looking for an entry-level iPad, it's only 32 gig. But for most people, that's more than enough, unless you want to load it up with games or apps. So, Logitech MK270 wireless keyboard and mouse combo for $19.99. And the regular price is only $24.99, but it's $5 off. Got a Seagate One Touch 2 terabyte external hard drive, USB 3, $62.99, which is $20 off. And the One Touch is a step up from the Elements or the basic ones that have very limited software and almost no features. Seagate Backup Plus 4 terabyte external hard drive, desktop drive, $109, which is $5 off. Probably could get that at a better price. It's $50 off the Netgear Nighthawk Wi-Fi 6 dual band mesh system. This is 1 base and 2 satellites, so $249. And Brother's still seeing the stuff slow to come back. This is a new model, though. Excuse me, new model. Wireless color inkjet printer, MFC J1205W. It does have a scanner, does not have a document feeder, but it does use what they call ink vestment. It's supposed to last a full year on the first set of tanks that come with it, and not the starter tanks, for $99. So if you want to, just for $99, you can buy one every year and throw it away.
I wouldn't recommend it. I would say get yourself a laser.
Oh, I would too. But some people, laser either scares them or
color.
Yeah.
A color laser, you're going to pay
about $150, $180.
Depends if you get a good sale. But you're not going to get the resolution necessarily that this has. Printing resolution, unless you go with a high-end laser color. So, and depending on what the toner's like. All right. Well, but that was $99. And finally, this is everywhere. It's not just at Staples, but the Amazon Fire Stick 4K is going for $37, which is or $37.99, which is $12 off the regular price. So a pretty good deal on that. That is at Staples. Moving on to Office Depot Office Max, we've got an Asus VivoBook AMD Ryzen 3 entry-level laptop. This is $349, which is $130 off. It's a good deal. HP 15.6-inch i5 with a 512 gig solid-state drive for $564, which is $110 off. And we've got a Lenovo. Oh, sorry, that got cut off. I realized there, the graphics. I was kind of smushing everything together. A Lenovo IdeaPad i3 15.6 core i7, 8 gig of memory for $649, $200 off. We've got an HP Slim desktop with an AMD Ryzen 3 in it for $529. But it's a bundle. It comes with a monitor that you don't normally get. And it's a 23.8-inch monitor. $529, save $45. And finally, a HP Pavilion desktop PC Ryzen 7, 16 gig of memory, 256 solid state drive for $659, which is $65 off. Now we go into memory land here. We've got a 5-pack of 16 16 gig USB 2.0 flash drive, $19 for the pack. It's $25 off the regular price. That looks good, but when we get to one of these later ones, it doesn't look so good anymore. SanDisk Ultra 3.0 256 gig flash drive, $29, well, $30, 41 off. And this is for you, Amnon.
Yeah. Right.
PMY Attaché 3 USB 2 flash drives, 32 gig, 50 pack for $184. I didn't do the math, but it's $221 off. So if you're getting ready to
It's
spread
about
those
$3
viruses,
and some cents.
yeah, but if you want to drop those flash drives in parking lots so you can spread viruses around, this is the deal. $3 a flash drive. We used to do handouts for trade shows where we get branded flash drives, and I got a bunch of them when they were 1 gig that had whatever it was we were giving away at that show. We'd have it mass produced and give it away, documentation and whatever on products. And if you need to do this is a pretty good deal. $3 for 32 gig. That's a lot. I mean, you put a lot of stuff on a 32 gig flash drive, but they are USB 2.0. But if you need bulk, this is a good deal. All right, Samsung 500 gig solid state drive, $64.99. The 1 terabyte is $119.99. So it is on sale. It's not a terrific sale, but the Samsung drives are very good. The Samsung 870s. And we've got a TP-Link dual band AX wireless router for $79.99. So it's not tri-band, it is just dual band, but still Wi-Fi 6 gateway router. It's $10 off the regular price. Want to get into this technology, not spend a lot of money, you don't have a big interference or distance issue. Just the way to go. SanDisk Ultra Plus SD card, 128 gig for $29. The regular price is only $35 for this. This is amazing. Class 10, good for 130 megabits per second recording. So if this is good for just about any recording environment you get into.
I don't know about any. I think you need to find out if your device supports something that big.
Absolutely. Supports, number one, the size.
Yeah.
Number two, the speed.
Right.
Yeah, you're right. But if you have a HD camcorder that records to these, it's the kind of drive you want. This is the kind of flash drive you want to get. Because the class 10 with 130 megabits per second is what you need to record HD or 4K. APC backup 900 VA, plus a 1 USB port battery backup for $79, which is 20 off. And Amnon, this is for you. I know you were thinking about starting to hire people, and have like an army of people to go out. They're looking for people to go door to door, so you can rent them out. So this is the fingerprint scanner for you to keep track of all the people that you've hired. It's only $159. Unlimited number of employees.
Yeah.
Pretty good. So, all right, that's at Office Depot, Office Max. And Best Buy continues to make my job hard in the morning here because they keep rearranging their webpage.
Never mind. You did good, it looks like.
They did it again. They don't have their organization of the webpage changes on a regular basis. Now they might argue that they're making it better. I don't know, but I used to love it when they'd have just a bunch of things all listed in like 25 per screen. You go down, there were nice little boxes. You could copy them. It was very easy in the old days with their webpage. I never went to the actual printed ad image because that is very hard to use, and there is no more printed ad. But it makes it difficult. Sometimes I have to do two captures for one product, and it just makes it take longer. All right, they've got a Chromebook, Celeron processor, 4 gig of memory, 32 gig eMMC from HP for $219, which is $60 off. Dell 3880 desktop Core i5, 12 gig of memory, 256 SSD for $549, which is $100 off. HP Pavilion 2-in-1 14-inch touchscreen laptop, Core i5, was $699, which is $100 off. And an HP 24-inch all-in-one Intel Core i5. It's got a 24-inch screen, 8 gig of memory, 1 terabyte
i3.
SSD. i3, what did I say?
I said i5.
Oh,
It's
sorry,
fine.
i3.
It's fine. I mean, people will
Oh, but if I say it's i5,
keep going. Yeah.
it identifies as an i5,
Okay.
even though it's an i3. So we have to respect that. $769, which is $50 off. We've got a Samsung Smart Tinsen, I guess it's a brand monitor, 32-inch monitor for $249, save $30. I noticed Walmart now is selling large screen 27 to 32-inch curved monitors in their computer department. Still cheaper to buy a 32-inch TV and hook it up if you can get the resolution out of it that you need. J-Create USB-C travel. I guess it's called docking station. I don't know that it doesn't look like it does charging. So it would just be you plug it into a USB-C port on your laptop, and then you can reproduce. I think it comes with an HDMI port, 2 USB 3 standard, and 1 USB-C port for $79. That's 20 off. Got 2 Western Digital Easy Store USB 3.0 portable hard drives, 1 terabyte for $44.99, 4 terabyte for $89.99. Now that is a deal. That is a good deal. $60 off, 4 terabyte. And finally, a PNY 128 gig USB 3 flash drive for $17.99.
Wow.
And that's $17 off the regular price. Well, the other one we looked at, that was a 256, right? But was that a USB 3? Yeah. SanDisk Ultra USB 3 256 was $29.
Yeah.
So, yep.
And by the way, PNY is one that makes a lot of them for other companies.
Yes. Yeah.
So PNY is the source.
And PMY stands for what?
I have no idea.
Pretty nice, y'all. Oh, no, it means it's produced in New York.
Oh.
That's what it means.
Okay, that's fine.
That makes sense too, right?
Yeah, right.
Who knows? And that's it for specials for July 11th, 2021.
Well, you forgot one specific item.
What?
That small SSD drive Sarid shared with us this week.
Yeah.
It's just a tiny portable 16 terabyte SSD drive.
16 terabytes?
Come on, Spence. You said you bought 2 of them with my Amex.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Only going cheap. $2,899.99.
They're delivering it today.
Yeah.
So
no, says fastest delivery Wednesday. So
I ordered it.
It's special.
Last week.
Yeah.
So, oh well. Yeah, that would be. I should have put that in here. You're right.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
It has an external aluminum casing.
Oh.
Sabrent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sabrent,
what a name. Sabrent Rocket XTRMQ 16 terabyte external aluminum SSD.
That brand name used to be a lot of sold by Target Direct.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. That was in their retail stores. Yeah, that was one of the, I don't know that it was their brand, but that was one that was in the store. Yep.
Thunderbolt 3 compatible. Good interface.
Yeah, Wiggs is right. That brand name isn't stellar. You go in there, you wanted to buy a cheap enclosure for a hard drive. You bought one of those, and
now I see how you read it. It's sub-Brent.
Sub-Brent, yeah.
Yeah, so it's below Brent.
Kind of like the hot dogs. It's their Brett. That's the same company. They make hot dogs too. You just change the name.
Interestingly enough, though, the product exists only 19 days on Amazon. Yeah, that's
And it
weird.
already has 1 million reviews, right? And all of them have very bad
No.
English.
two reviews, but one says 3 out of 5 tomatoes. That's all it says, man. And the other one says, had to
Great
sell my
product, love
car
it.
to afford this, but at least all my movies are on one hard drive now.
I wrote a review one time and they actually kept it. It was some type of a video cable or a high-end movie home theater system that was $7,000. And I said, before I had this cable, I was so disappointed in my movies. And I wrote this long thing about how the quality of the cable is so good and the actual copper uses special ions and, it made it up, just parody. And they kept it. They approved
They
it.
don't care.
Yeah.
They keep the parody. The parody makes it fun to continue reading it.
I should go look at my Amazon account. I know you can go back and look at those things. I'll go see if it's still there.
You can watch it on your profile. So
Yeah.
when you go to your account, look for your profile, and then you have all of your reviews listed.
Let's see how far back it goes. That'd be interesting.
The beginning of time.
Mm.
You can actually share that profile. It's like a public one. You can switch it on and off, but actually a nice concept. I think it's probably around the Facebook, when Facebook got a lot of attention. I think that's when
They turned it on.
they created that concept of the profile. Yeah.
All right. Let's see what else we have. For some reason, Samsung apps designed to control internet-connected washer and dryers require, and the writer of the article says, bogus, absurd, unacceptable, pesky, and awful permissions. On Wednesday, a Reddit user complained that their washing machine app, the Samsung Smart Washer, wouldn't work unless I give it access to my contacts. Oh, wait. Contacts, locations, location, and camera. This is a common complaint.
Just about location before you continue.
Yeah.
Okay. The problem isn't with the app so much as it is with the OS, because location services is the interface that allows the app to see Wi-Fi connections next to you. So if you're setting up, I don't know, a smart device, any smart device, right? That doesn't have a keyboard and a screen, then you need to feed it your Wi-Fi password, for example.
Right.
And the way to do it is it opens a Wi-Fi hotspot, you connect to it, you enter the details, and then it switches. That, to see which Wi-Fi you are connected to, that requires location services.
Interesting.
But the context one, that's completely bogus.
Camera?
Bogus. I agree. Even if it needs the camera to, I don't know, to watch a QR code or something, right?
Maybe. Yeah.
It can request it, but it should work without it, right?
Yeah. So he said, the app won't work without these permissions. Another Reddit user grumbled last year, referring to another Samsung app called Smarthome that requires the same seemingly exaggerated permissions. Why would the Samsung Smarthome app needs access to my contacts? The review for these two apps, both of which have more than 1 million installs according to their stats on the Google Play Store, aren't very positive either. The Smart Washer app has an average of 2.1 stars, thanks to a slew of reviews that mention the unnecessary permissions. I mean, this is like somebody on Amazon giving it 1 star because the thing came in and it was dead on delivery. Come on. Things like that happen. I mean, we want to know how the thing works. We want to know if it's made good and all that. Not, the box was damaged. Come on. There's no reason to give bad reviews when something like this happens. But
I tried to paste my review. I tried to
Yeah.
paste the link and I
It
didn't.
works.
But if you go to the link, it's got the entire review and not just the badly.
No,
I
it goes just to your review.
yeah, but I mean, did you post it too? No.
No, I just took your link and
Oh, okay, yeah, it
tested
should
it.
go right there because I tried to post the link and I wound up posting half of the review itself, which was a mistake.
The first one. Yeah, I see.
Yeah,
no,
yeah, it's
the
wrong.
second one was the.
So ignore that. I look at this and I wrote this.
another weird thing about buying something and looking at the reviews. With the well problem, I said, okay, what I need a good test kit to test the water. So I went on Amazon and they had a nice, very nice kit that thousands of people bought. And it was $25. And I said, yep, that should be good. So I go and I start reading. 3 people give it 1 star, and I actually wrote the company asking about this because what it said on the bottle of the bacteria testing bottle says if it's yellow, it means okay, no bacteria. If it's green, it means it has bacteria. In the manual, it was exactly the opposite.
Mhm.
So now you're saying, okay, so I can't trust it. I don't know what. I mean, is the manual right or is the bottle right? So I did not purchase it. I went and I found the website for the company and I wrote a message and I said, look, I was about to buy this, but come on, you guys. There are people complaining in the reviews on Amazon that it's conflicting information. I mean, if one guy said, I got the fact that I had bacteria, so I went to a lab and all that to make sure and spend a lot of money to be told, no, everything is okay. So I got a surprise. They said, we'll get in touch with you within 24 hours. They did. And the guy was saying, yes, we know about those complaints. There's nothing we can do about reviews. But this was a problem 6 months ago, printing problem that we had, and it was fixed right away.
So there's a question and answers section,
right,
where they can state that.
Exactly. That's what I was telling him. I said, well, you need to go in and put it in the questions and answers, not on the reviews, because this will stop somebody from doing it.
And they can reply to the review. Most people do not see replies to it. That's true, but maybe some will. So
no. The point is he said that, and he said so. That's all he said. Yeah. So I wrote back and I said, okay, you're telling me that you fixed the problem. Now, when I buy a kit 6 months ago, if I buy a kit from Amazon, is it going to be recent enough that I can trust it? It may be the same or it may be a conflict. He said the problem was with the bottle label. The manual is correct. It's the bottle that gave you the wrong information. And he said something that just didn't make sense at the end. I can't remember. But it wasn't important. I mean, when he said that the manual is fine, I said, okay, I'm not going to give a shit what it says on the bottle. So I ordered it. We'll see. But this can be a problem. Here's something else. SMS is widely regarded as an insecure form of two-factor authentication. And another example of this has just emerged. A carrier looks to be injecting ads into the Google verification code used to sign into services like Gmail. Action Launcher developer Chris Lacey today tweeted how his Google verification code, which starts with a G, featured an SMS ad. The advertisement for a VPN included a quick message and short URL. For those that immediately suspect this is just a phishing attempt, the verification code is legitimate and was requested by Lacey to successfully verify a login attempt. Google Messages even flagged the link and message as spam. As such, Google is responding to the thread suspect this is an occurrence of a carrier appending an ad. Note the extra spaces into a real text message. So there's a space between here and there in the message. It's very unlikely that Google's security teams would allow advertising into a very crucial part of the login process where end users' trust is paramount. They did not say what carrier it was that this message came. They kept it under wrap. But that is bad. So we were talking here about using SMS as the secondary thing. What did we decide? What is the best way to do what is the second of the the second factor authentication that is best?
So the best way is something physical in your hand, right?
Yeah.
That nobody can intercept in the middle and during the communication. And that's either the one-time code, the temporary one-time password, the usually 6-digit that is generated every
Yeah.
30 seconds.
Mhm.
Because when you set it up, that is the only point of communication. If nobody was listening on that point, then any future attempt will be safe. So it is safer than SMS, right? There's only one point of attack, and that is during the
The
setup.
actual generation.
Yes. And another one would be a physical key, the YubiKey and stuff like that, right? So these are the two options. I personally I prefer the authentication because depending on the tool you use, you can also sync it across multiple devices, and you're not only on a physical device. So it is less secure that way, but it is a lot more comfortable, but still more secure than an SMS solution. So again, the real problem about that is, for some reason, because it is probably the easiest implementation out there, but for some reason, temporary one-time passwords are usually distributed via SMS. I have zero idea why this is the form that has been chosen by banks. This is the form that has been chosen by practically every other service, because
Right.
SMS incurs a charge, right? So theoretically, it costs these companies to run whatever authentication server they're running. That's one, but that is the most widespread one. And if that's the only option you have, yes, use it. It's still better than not having it. But if you have the option of not using that, and instead using an authentication application like Authy, Authy, or Google Authentication. There's a fantastic open source one called Aegis, I think. I'll find the name and I'll send the name in the chat later. Um, so or use something like Bitwarden and Vaultwarden to manage your one-time temporary passwords. That is the best, and the most secure one would be a physical key. Though those have still a lot of technical limitations. They might not work on your phone, or they might work on your phone but not work on a PC, etc. And of course, it has to do with physical presence of the key. I hope that was clear.
Yeah, well, it's yeah. The I would think that the hardware keys, but not everybody can. It, for the occasional user, it's not going to work. For a techie and people that understand it, that'll be. But yeah, the one time code that's being sent is good. Yep. All right. I don't know what kind of a impact this has, but it says Microsoft has suspended its SQL server on Windows container beta with immediate effect. The statement yesterday, that was last week, on a U.S. public holiday by Microsoft Senior Program Manager Amit said, due to existing ecosystem challenges and usage patterns, we have decided to suspend the SQL server on Windows containers beta for foreseeable future. Should the circumstances change, we will revisit the decision at the appropriate time. So, from this, I don't understand exactly why they stopped it. It's some kind of circumstances, ecosystem challenges. But if you were thinking that you're going to be able to use SQL Server through on a Windows container, no, they stopped the beta. Doesn't exist. Again, I have no idea. It's probably just important for developers, since it's beta. Probably nobody's used.
At this point, it'll be better, but yeah. So these containers, they are probably developed by Microsoft.
Yeah.
SQL Server is a heavily licensed piece of software that Microsoft sells all over the world. And the containers allow, so SQL Server is, while it's a Microsoft product, it has a Linux run version that can run inside a container. There's a good chance that it clashes with some infrastructure on the Google Cloud. Microsoft developed it for their Azure's offering, so maybe there's some clash. I don't know the details, but this is how it is.
They don't say exactly what it is. They call it eco. Anyway, here's something else. Anybody who watches TV see endless commercials for Chime. Chime, a neobank serving millions, is racking up complaints from users who can't access their cash. The company says it's cracking down on an extraordinary surge in fraudulent deposits. That's little consolation to customers caught in the fray. Chime, which provides app-based banking services to an estimated 12 million customers, has, according to experts, been generating a high rate of complaints. with 920 filed at the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau since April 15, 2020. For a company that most people have never heard of, I think that's a lot of complaints, said Lauren Saunders of the National Consumer Law Center. Many consumers have told the CFPB that they can't access their money or accounts, and that, among other things, Chime is now slow to resolve problems. Of the 920 complaints filed about Chime, 197 were tagged as involving a closed account, and the CFPB's complaints are labeled inconsistently, and many of the other 723 also detail problems involving accounts that were closed against customer will. I mean, come on, you are going to a bank, you are looking for bank services, and accounts being closed. I mean, even one account closed against the customer will. I think there are ways that you can battle fraudulent deposits by, if I deposit something, you don't put it in my account right away, just like PayPal does, for instance. It has to take maybe a day before it's okay. But I guess that will cost them money to verify, so they're not doing it. Needless to say, I'm not going with Chime account anytime soon. Not just because of this, and because of what I do. But people should pay attention to this and say, well, yeah, I'm not going to do anything with them. Any comments about that? No. Okay. Here is something else interesting especially for parents. The fintech company Greenlight says that its app and debit cards for kids is a financial literacy tool that gives parents superpowers to set strict controls on their children's spending. Parents can use the app to pay allowances, choose which stores the connected debit card works at, set spending limit, and receive instant notifications whenever their child makes a purchase. But there's one thing Greenlight makes it very hard for parents to control. What the company does with the mountains of sensitive data it collects about children. Greenlight reserves the right to share that personal information, including names, birth dates, email addresses, GPS location history, purchase history, and behavioral profile with ad and marketing vendors. That is really bad. Insurance companies, collection agencies, and the catch-all category of other service providers. According to its privacy policy, that they say it up front that they do that. So that's nice in a way. Greenlight's policy also says that it can use the data it collects to deliver tailored content advertisements, a kind of marketing that youth privacy and education advocates say is particularly manipulative and damaging for children. So whenever you're thinking about doing this, it's not a babysitter. It's not something that's going to protect your kid. Pay attention, read what the privacy policy, make sure that you are getting something that you think you do. I mean, behavioral profile. That's something that they have to compile themselves from other things, from where they buy, what they buy, and all that. So that's. I mean, I don't have little kids, and it disturbs me. And talking about something that's bad and all that, there was something else going on this week that was discussed a lot. What is it? Odyssey? No, Odyssey. What's the name of the video audio?
Audacity?
Audacity. Yeah, the
Okay.
Audacity. Somehow it came out that it was spyware because they were purchased by somebody and now it's spyware. Well, it's the same situation. It's not spyware, it's the same program, except that the new company privacy agreement say that I think it's the free version, they can use the information they collect to do this, this, and this, and this. They tell you that they're doing it. You, if it didn't happen before, they have the right to do it. You have the right not to use it or pay for it, and then it doesn't happen to you. But to come out right away and claim this is spyware, don't use it, it's spyware. Well, that's a little bit too far-fetched.
My question is this. So if there is a company that now sells Audacity license, a version of it,
Yeah.
has Audacity already been forked? Because it's
I don't know.
open source, right? The Audacity fork. There's already a fork. Tenacity.
Tenacity?
Yeah. It's literally a fork starting from that split. TenacityAudio.org is a website explaining what it is and what it removes. That's the beauty of open source,
Nice.
right?
Yes, absolutely.
And my guess is Tenacity won't last long, right? It's
Why?
Because Audacity will probably tweak it.
Oh, they did
to
already.
do it differently.
Yeah, they did already. It was written that they did. But something new is always better. No?
Yeah, no, but I mean, but that's how open source. That's the beauty of open source, right? That's why I feel the model is right. It's not like there is no stealing here. This has been shared with the world up until now.
Mhm.
And yes, they can take it to a different direction and maybe they can make it work for them. That's fine, right? Because they are the number one tool for this type of work, regardless, right? It's not they are the number one open source. They are the number one audio editing tool. And so if they need to take it private, it'll work for them, maybe, right? And people in the open source community, they'll continue in a different path. And, we'll see which one is going to be used, in the long term. Yeah.
Time will tell. Yeah, time will tell. Tenacity. Tenacity.org. TenacityAudio.org. Interesting. Okay.
It's on GitHub. You can find them.
Agal, is there anything that you want to talk about as far as cord cutting, something new? I mean, let me tell you something. I hate the new guide. I hate it with a passion. One thing.
That's how you really feel.
one important thing is you can't even read the time when each show comes up unless you get close to the TV. Okay, you say you're getting
No, I get what
old,
you're
your
saying.
eyesight is not as good. And
No,
look,
no. That has nothing to do with it. You are using something that is called a 10-foot interface. The whole
yeah,
idea is it should be easy to navigate and use on a 10-foot from a
correct.
10-foot distance, right? So if something doesn't work, I agree with you. I just don't know. It's a problem. There is, if you were using a web browser, I would say, yeah, we can probably find a user group that already has a CSS update to make it easier on the
Make it
eyes,
easier, yeah.
right? But on a Roku app, I don't know where, other than the Plex forums, and I'm guessing the Plex forums are pretty full with comments about that. I don't
It
follow
is
them on the
ridiculous.
Roku side.
It is absolutely ridiculous. You can't read what channel it is. You have to recognize the picture of the logo of the network, when it used to say just 25, 14, this, and I don't understand. The new guide is really. Are you saying that the guide would look different under different? Like if I use a Fire Stick, the guide would look differently.
It could be.
It could be okay.
It depends. They work on these separately because these are separate group of developers, right?
Mhm.
The developer for Roku are not the developers for Android, etc. Right? So
Okay.
these are separate projects. They're worked with separate. Well, I don't know if separate people, but they definitely work with separate set of code.
Mhm.
So what happens is when they go through a major redesign of the UI, for example, it'll start showing up in one platform and then in another platform and then in another platform. And sometimes there's an overlap, right? They're already starting a newer design on another platform and they're backing up. It seems that at this point they are across the board trying this new UI design. Now I don't use live TV on Plex, so I haven't
You
seen
haven't
that
seen it,
part of
yeah.
it. I have seen the changes. I have noticed the changes in the way they display information on the DVR type,
Mhm. Yeah,
on the
and
already collected catalog of stuff. Uh, it seems pretty similar on all of the devices and the web right now, but yeah, I understand that there's issues. But the way to interact with Plex on this is to go to the Plex forum, and they have a Roku um, uh, section there
section.
that you can discuss it.
I don't want to
And
discuss it. Do you think
no,
somebody?
but that's the way they can get input from you that this isn't working,
Oh,
right?
okay, yeah.
So that's the only place where you can voice yourself as a
Your
consumer,
concern.
as a user. You are a paying user,
Yeah,
so right.
yeah.
Um,
Okay. Yeah, and the other thing is, it's getting even worse and worse now with the fact that it doesn't know. It's like it's not keeping up with the time, like the clock. And if
okay.
it stays on one channel, I mean, I even got up in the morning and turned it on, and somehow it stayed on one channel. And I'm saying, okay, let's see other channels. And I'm saying, that's not right. It's time for something different. And you look, and it's still pointing to, in the guide, pointing to last night's program. Now, if you go forward, it right away says, hey, I had a problem with that. And you can go back and it's updated. Kind of got
Right.
used to starting, turning it on, go back a step and go forward a step, and then it remembers it updates itself. But it never did that. I thought you said that you thought it was always a problem. But I I don't ever remember it doing this, and that's interesting. But yeah, you sit there and you try. I mean, I see Kathy gets up every now and then, getting close to the TV to read the time, and it's You're right. I do. Then in that case, I will get into the.
Live TV guide not loading after channel switch. No,
We can't hear you.
there's stuff from a few days ago, but I don't see.
Okay. All right.
So maybe it's time to create some discussion around it, and
Yeah.
this is how eventually this gets to them.
Because I can't. I mean, on the phone, it looks great,
Right.
and it's you can read it, but that's because you're close. So what? I refuse to believe that most people are actually watching all that stuff on a phone.
I don't know.
I
But
don't know.
even if that's true, the phone is an Android interface, and you're talking about the Roku
That's
interface.
true. That's two different
Right.
things. You're
So,
absolutely right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's a separate thing.
Yeah.
It's
And it's really a matter of color. The time, the digits are done in a real dark gray on top of black. Come on. I mean, who did this? Anyway.
somebody with very good eyesight.
Yeah. So anything else happening with cutting cords and things like that you can update us on that you can think of?
Not really. I mean, I haven't watched even a lot of TV lately, so been busy with my home network mostly.
Yeah.
Yeah, can't say.
I've been considering getting rid of my oldest Fire Stick, one I've had for several years, because the 3 other new ones I have work very well, but the older one never got the update that came for the new ones. So I'm thinking
Wow,
about
that's
just
a
getting
big
it.
expense, Spence.
Oh yeah, $29. But I'll probably buy a 4K one and put it on the main television, and put the older one on the one upstairs that has the really old Fire Stick. Just has a slower processor.
That'll be fine. I mean, if you buy anything today, you should get a 4K.
Yeah. I looked at getting the Cube, but the only thing that comes with the Cube, it comes with an Ethernet adapter, which I can add to what I have now. And it has Alexa built in, which I'm not going to use anyway. It's got a speaker for Alexa. In other words, it's like an Echo Dot type setup, which I wouldn't use anyway. The remote has a microphone in it, so if I want to use Alexa, I press the button and I talk. But this would be constantly monitoring, listening like an Alexa would.
Oh.
Or like an Echo would do.
And last story before we go away, with great segue here. Like most Internet of Things devices these days, Amazon Echo Dot gives user a way to perform a factory reset. So as the corporate behemoth, users can remove any personal content from the applicable devices before selling or discarding them. But researchers have recently found that the digital bits that remain on these reset devices can be reassembled to retrieve a wealth of sensitive data, including passwords, locations, authentication tokens, and other sensitive data. Most IoT devices, the Echo Dot included, use NAND-based flash memory to store data. Like traditional hard drives, NAND, which is short for the Boolean operator not AND, stores bit bytes of data so they can be recalled later. But whereas hard drives write data to magnetic platters, NAND use silicon chip. It also is less stable than hard drives because reading and writing to it produces bit errors that must be corrected using error correcting code. Researchers from Northeastern University bought 86 used devices on eBay and at flea markets over a span of 16 months. They first examined the purchased devices to see which ones had been factory reset and which hadn't. Their first surprise, 61% of them had not been reset. Without a reset, recovering the previous owner's Wi-Fi passwords, router MAC address, Amazon account credentials, and information about connected devices was a relatively easy process. The next surprise came when the researchers disassembled the devices and forensically examined the content stored in their memory. An adversary with physical access to such device, e.g., purchasing a used one, can retrieve sensitive information such as Wi-Fi credentials, the physical locations of previous owners, and cyber-physical devices, cameras, door locks. The researchers wrote in a research paper. We know and we show that such information, including all previous passwords and tokens, remain on the flash memory even after a factory reset. And I read this and I said, yep, that's just like hard drives when they tell you, yeah, just remember we used to do low-level format. Never mind high-level format, just format. When we used to do on drives low-level format, it should take it out, completely out. Or you write zeros and ones over the whole drive. My solution was always, I don't need that drive anymore, a 5-pound hammer. This way, nobody can get anything out. You bend the platters, there's no way to read it. I mean,
You know what also works good?
What?
Is a garden pick.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier on your hands too.
Yeah.
Slam it. You just lay it on the ground and you just use the pointy end of the
You
garden
destroy
pick.
the thing. So here it is again with the dot. I mean, first of all, I don't know why anybody would want to sell it. It's not like, you know, I don't need it anymore. You put it aside. You always can use it. Yeah, if there's a new one and you want to upgrade, fine. But how much is a dot? $40? Something like that?
Maybe cheaper depending on the audio quality.
You know, then destroy it. It will cost you a lot less, potentially. It could cost you a lot less than if you did everything they told you to reset the device, and then somebody actually unscrupulous got a hold of it and is starting to figure out where you are, what's your password, how many cameras you had in the house, what is the code to your door, you know.
Plug it in and drop it in water.
Vince, I got a suggestion for next week's specials.
Yeah.
Shredders and electronics shredding.
Oh, you mean like the bulk erase electromagnets?
Well, maybe, but stuff you'd want to keep at home and yet will not eat your puppy.
Yeah, that's right. My daughter, when she lived here with her cats, she made me unplug my shredder.
Yeah.
Because the cat can stick their tongue in there. And,
Puppy.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's a problem. And really, I mean, if you want to destroy it because it's chips, you will need to get a big hammer and break every bit of it. It's a whole lot simpler, like what Spence is saying. Drop it in water, plug it in, drop it in water. It's only 12 volts. It's not even
Yeah,
12
that's what
volts.
happened to my phone this week.
Oh, what happened?
It
Intentionally?
was in my pocket.
Yeah.
You went in the pool.
My bathing suit has a pocket, and it was in my pocket, and I forgot to take it out.
Ouch. Did it die?
When I switch it on, there's something on the screen, but then it goes away. So it doesn't complete the boot cycle.
Bag of
I'm
rice.
gonna let it sit in the sun for another couple of days, and hopefully, I know I won't be able to use it, but I want to see if I can take out the last day's data out of it.
Bag of rice.
And
Rice, yeah.
Ziploc bag with rice. Just let it sit in there.
yeah, I'll try it.
I did it with a tablet that I dropped into of all places, what was essentially a porta potty.
Oh,
But but listen to the story though. I'm responsible for keeping the lavatory in the back of the bus clean. And I had cleaned it, dumped it, cleaned it, fresh water. There was it was not a clean environment, but it was not dropping it into waste. But I dropped it in and pulled it out immediately and immediately wiped it off with paper towels. And then I turned it off because it was on. And then I put it into a bag of rice for 24 hours. And it started up and it ran. But it had moisture on the backside of the glass that would, when you first turned it on, it would be kind of foggy. And the longer you left it on, the moisture would go away. But it worked. And I told them about it 2 years later. I mentioned, oh yeah, I had that incident with they called it the Zonar tablet. It was the electronic logbook device. When you did your inspection, you had to go around and put it next to RFID tags to say that you covered those parts of the coach. So I was doing the lavatory in the back. I'd already cleaned it and I was putting it up. The little tag was at the ceiling inside the door. So I'm reaching inside the door and got it to measure to pick up
register
the RFID tag. And as I was taking it out, I hit it against the door and it fell out of my hand. And the lid was open to the lab, so it went right in. Reaching in there was a problem, but that was okay.
Yeah, I wonder when will they come out with something. I mean, now that you can change the battery in these phones,
Yeah.
why don't you make them so they're water?
Forget change. I can't disconnect the battery, right? That's one part of the problem. So
No, I mean, since you can't change the batteries, that means you can't open it easy or make them so they're waterproof. To I don't know, 2 feet.
So iPhones today are waterproof. I think Samsung's top line are also. Yeah, it makes sense. I don't know how complex it is on the manufacturer and to do it waterproof. To have it waterproof rating and all that, but
the amount they charge you for these phones, they should do it.
I have an old iPhone 5S that when I sit in my hot tub, I use it to listen to podcasts. So I put it in a Ziploc bag.
Yeah.
And the touchscreen works through the Ziploc bag.
But could you hear it?
Everybody should have a Ziploc bag on their belt that they can put their phone into. We can have designer versions of Ziploc bags.
All right. Well, it's that time of day again. And unless you guys have something to add here, we can wind it down. Anything?
Negative.
Got it?
Nope.
All right. So thanks, Gal. Thanks, Spence. It was a lot of fun. And Nick, if you're still listening, thanks for calling in. Make it safely back home. And good morning, Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Katie and Dina, Arlette and Micha, Eleanor, Sarid, Thanks, everybody, for tuning to Computers 2K Now. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from our time together. Remember, practice safe computing. Back up your hard drive, update your virus scanner. We'll be back here next Sunday at 9, but you can always reach us at computers2know.com. And again, Nick does his morning show on the radio in Wilmington, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. on WAAV Wilmington. If you're using an Echo, you can just say your Echo name, play 980 The Wave. And Tuesday, Nick and Brian do the Infection podcast on Twitch about gaming. We'll see you next week, everybody. Take care.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.